Towns in the southeastern United States are being wiped off the map due to flooding from Hurricane Helene. Good Friday evening, I'm Mike Nasel with the latest on what's left of Helene, as well as the rest of the tropics. When we take a look out there, here is what's left of Helene over the area of the Tennessee Valley. We have had catastrophic flooding from Helene and from the trough that kind of wrapped Helene up there. The interaction of the two caused a lot of heavy rain before the hurricane, and it's only gotten worse. We have Hurricane Isaac out here looking very impressive way out there in the North Atlantic. It looks like it's peaking out as a high-end Category 1 hurricane. This is Tropical Storm Joyce, and Joyce is not expected to become a hurricane. It should run into unfavorable conditions. And we have a couple of other features we're watching as well. Now, here's the latest from the Weather Prediction Center in College Park, Maryland, on post-tropical cyclone Helene. So it's no longer a tropical cyclone, but they're still issuing updates. It was at about 38.0 north, 87.0 west. That puts it about 115 miles east-northeast of Paducah, Kentucky. Winds about 30 miles per hour. Tropical depression force, very weak winds, but it's drifting west-southwest at 8 miles per hour, still 987 millibars. And really the high threat is the flooding. Several flood and flash flood warnings remain in effect across portions of the southern and central Appalachians. Flood watches continue through Saturday morning across portions of the Tennessee, lower Ohio, and mid-Mississippi valleys, and high wind warnings across portions of Tennessee, Ohio, and the mid-Mississippi Valley. Now, we saw the impact on the coastline in an area like Cedar Key or Keaton Beach. This is Keaton Beach from Twitter. This is Brandon Kopic Weather on Twitter. Look at the houses there on the barrier island there. This is Keaton Beach before Helene and after Helene. Look at how many houses were wiped off their foundations. That's what a Category 4 storm surge will do, 15 to 20 feet. Then the rainfall, the inland flooding. Chimney Rock, North Carolina was wiped off the map. Look at the picture on the right. That's what it's supposed to look like. The picture on the left, businesses destroyed, homes destroyed, roads washed out. There have been many fatalities. There are people getting rescued. It is very, very bad. And again, this was heavy rainfall from the trough that slowed down, pushed the ridge out of the way, allowed the hurricane to pool up, and kind of sucked up what's left of the hurricane. So the combination of the two has just caused catastrophic rain. Look at this is out of Boone, North Carolina, and this is, they're saying, the worst flooding since 1940. And just look at some of these pictures here from Andrew Gibson, Nelson Ariels on Twitter. Look at that. Look at that flooding. Very, very disastrous flooding. There's going to be billions and billions of dollars of damage. Then we can look over here. This is in Asheville, North Carolina. Colin Rugg on Twitter via ABC 11 WTVD showing that the city is facing over 25 feet on the French Broad River. That breaks the record that was July 16th, 1916 of 23 feet. Look at this home being washed away here. Very devastating. Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Remember, that whole area, Smoky Mountains, Appalachia, North Carolina, Tennessee. Pigeon Forge. Kevin on Twitter is showing this flooding in Pigeon Forge. That is very, very bad news. And then we have, this is out of Lake Lure, North Carolina. That's in that area near Pigeon Forge. They're saying also near Newport, Tennessee. Not a lot of cell phone reception out there. It's still very, very bad. Look at that damage there. Look at the damage from those floodwaters. And that's just leaving debris behind, blocking roadways, power lines. Very, very dangerous from the area there of far western North Carolina. Now here's the radar. And again, the rainfall is decreasing. There's still a good bit headed here for St. Louis. But what was the trough slowed down, the low pressure area here. The hurricane came up as a Category 4, ripped through Georgia. By the way, a lot of the worst winds were on the eastern side, so Atlanta and Tallahassee didn't get it half as bad as they could have, but inland, very, very bad conditions. and the hurricane moved in that direction and kind of got sucked up by this low pressure and became post-tropical. So obviously we still have the counterclockwise circulation around what was Helene, but a lot of the winds have died down, and thankfully some of the rain, thank goodness. The rainfall forecast, this is over the next 24, 48 hours. We're looking at a couple inches of rain from Memphis through Cincinnati, Cape Girardeau, Little Rock, but nothing like what they've had in areas of Georgia. You want to know what they've had in these areas? Look at this. This was posted earlier from the Weather Prediction Center, the National Weather Service. Look at some of these rainfall amounts in Florida. 15 inches, 12 inches, 9 inches in Apalachicola. In Georgia, Fort Eisenhower, almost 13 inches. Atlanta, almost 12. Alabama, 7 and 10 inches of rain. West Virginia, high rain amounts. But you really want to see something? Look at North Carolina. Asheville, North Carolina, 13 inches. Mount Mitchell State Park, 24 inches. Almost 30 inches. Insane rain amounts here, especially in that area there in extreme western North Carolina. Very, very, very heavy rainfall. To say nothing of power outages. Okay, that screen looks like that's out here. There we go. I don't need a power outage on that screen. Look at this. From Florida straight through the Carolinas, Georgia, Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, and Indiana, right where the hurricane looped on through, power outages. Florida, where you would expect the areas hit there, Taylor County, Jefferson County, Madison County, Hamilton County, very, very bad power outages. What are we looking at? 500,000 people. Georgia, almost 800,000. South Carolina, over 1 million people without power in western South Carolina. Is that right? 1.1 million. Yeah, holy cow. North Carolina, almost 760,000 people without power, again, in that western part of the state. So not only do they not have good cell service, but with the flooding, the roads washed out, lack of power, those people really need help. Tennessee, again, way up here, areas Hawkins, Hancock, Claiborne County, and then into Kentucky as well. You guys are affected in the eastern part of Kentucky, western Kentucky, not as much. Ohio, you guys got in on it really far south there. Hamilton County just getting a lot of power outages, but thankfully it stayed in the southern part of the state for the rest of Ohio. But same's true in Indiana there as the storm pushed high winds across areas of the state. So again, power outage, and then California is always out of power because they got problems. But a very, very bad situation here with the impacts from our Hurricane Helene. Unlike Idalia last year, which made landfall near Steinhatchee as a Category 3, very near Keaton Beach, that was a weakening 115 mile per hour Category 3. It was very tiny, very destructive, but it wasn't even bad enough to retire the name. Trust me, I'm almost positive they will retire Helene. Helene is way beyond what Idalia was. We have other features to watch. We have a hurricane, a tropical storm. This area here in the central Atlantic over the next couple of days is a 40% chance for development. And then we're watching the Caribbean, that same area where we saw Helene develop, and that's a 30% chance sometime next week. Here's the latest on Hurricane Isaac. It's way out there at 38.2 north, 43.4 west, winds of 90, moving east-northeast at 16 miles per hour. It should move north and northeast out way away from the Azores. We won't have to deal with it, but taking a look at that satellite, that is a cute little hurricane out there, looking pretty impressive, 90 miles per hour. It looks like it peaked out. There's always a chance it could pop over 100 and become a Category 2, though. Tropical Storm Joyce out there, 18.9 north, 44.7 west, winds of 50, moving west-northwest at 12. It was strengthening throughout the day, is expected to not become a hurricane and slow down and dissipate as it runs into unfavorable conditions midweek. There's a satellite imagery of Joyce out here blowing up, so it could get a little stronger, but not expected to become a hurricane. This wave here near the islands, we'll be watching this area. That's that 40% chance for development, and another wave leaving after that. The Caribbean, like I mentioned, this wave moved through the islands, and there's still a pulse there, and that's what we're waiting to see happens as this area of disturbed weather will move on towards the west. After what happened with Helene, we will watch it. So I'm Mike Nasa with the latest on the aftermath of the wrath of Helene. I will talk to you next time.